Welcome to the world united. Welcome to the world united.
And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Laura. Laura Lane specializes in providing loving, faith-based support for moms whose kids are fighting for their lives. Laura offers hope in a hopeless situation for caregivers who want to learn how to develop grace under pressure during the daily care of their child. As a professionally trained transformational workshop leader and cancer mom herself, she is there to support them along the way, help them learn needed skills, and feel understood. Laura engages her audience in deep spiritual conversations that help bring more joy and gratitude and a closeness to God during the dark nights of the soul. So Laura, welcome, and I'm going to pass the baton over to you.
Thank you so much, JP. That was a wonderful exercise, and I'm feeling so much more calm and prepared to do what I have to do, what I want to share with you now. I'd like to share the story of when in 2012, my 18 months after my 12-year-old daughter Celeste was diagnosed with a rare cancerous brain tumor, I was on the phone with her oncologist. We had been waiting for the results of her MRI. And 1 year earlier, she had completed 30 rounds of radiation on her brain and spine, followed by 3 months of chemo, and it had almost killed her. And since then, she had recovered. She'd gone back to school, she'd learned how to walk and run again, and she was about to start high school. And as I stood in the kitchen talking to Dr. Carney, my expectations were that we would finally hear the words, NED, no evidence of disease. Celeste's tumors so far had shrunk 98.5%, and I was totally expecting today was our miracle day. We were praying for Celeste all over the world. People were praying for Celeste all over the world. And I am a very firm believer in prayer, in developing a close relationship with the divine. And that relationship with my Heavenly Father has helped me to survive. It's been my lifeline. It's been my safety net. So over the years, I've discovered that prayer and the connection to the divine is one of the 7 pillars that has supported me in facing the most difficult challenges that have come my way with ease and grace. They are pillars that support a bridge of hope when I'm faced with a chasm of despair and hopelessness along life's journey. Each one of us faces those moments in life, be it death, divorce, illness, tragedy, cruelty, abuse. There are moments when we feel lost, when we feel broken, when we feel heartbroken. And when I look at the times in my life when life seemed darkest, and I had to face quite a few over the years, I discovered that there were a few important things I did to rise above that chasm of hopelessness. And I call them 7 pillars to living with ease and grace. And they are: be bold, expand your vision, grow your gratitude, connect to spirit, love unconditionally, give generously, and build faith. I believe these actions are what true spirituality is about. It's what moves our spirituality from theory to practice, and actually bringing us closer to the divine and into a place of joy and peace. In the time that we have together today, I'd like to share a few examples of how these pillars have helped me feel stronger, bounce back quicker, and how I developed a sense of belonging and connection. It allowed me to feel more loving, peaceful, and closer to God. The day that Celeste was diagnosed, the day I received the call that she'd have to have brain surgery that night, the first thing I had to do was be bold, to boldly ask for help. As we drove to the hospital, I began making lists of what we were going to need in the next few days and weeks and who we could enlist to help. And over the years since, I have learned that people are amazing. People are kind and generous, and they want to help. And the outpouring of love and support that our family received during that time was incredible. But it began with being vulnerable and recognizing that we need help and bravely asking for support. Not everyone can meet every need that we have, but if we keep asking, if we keep reaching out, then we will see the best in people emerge. I'd like you to take a moment right now to think about your own life, something that you are struggling with. What help do you need, and who can you ask to support you? Grab a piece of paper and write it down. And I'm going to give you a moment. And part of that, I'd also like you to commit to when you're going to make that call and have that conversation. And as you're writing that down, I want to share with you some of the amazing ways people helped us. When we were at the hospital, I called up a friend and said, "Can you do my laundry?" And she came. One day, my daughter Celeste was so sick of the meals at the hospital. She's like, "Mommy, I just want your food." She's like, "I want a peanut butter and jam sandwich like you make it, Mommy." So I called up a friend and said, "Hey, can you get me this bread and this peanut butter and this jam?" And she brought it all the way to the hospital for me. Those little things are amazing. And if you ask, people will stop and go, "Hey, that's no problem. I'd love to help out." We just need to give them the opportunity. The day that we received the news of Celeste's MRI results, I stood in the kitchen talking to our doctor on the phone, and my heart sunk. The MRI showed that there were new tumors growing, and she said, "I'm sorry, we don't have any other treatment options for Celeste." My mind refused to believe it. This was supposed to be our miracle day. Like, no, today was supposed to be the day that we were praying for. And as I hung up the phone, I went into full-on panic mode. No, I would not believe it. No, we would just go somewhere else. We'd go to Europe. We'd go to Mexico. I was not going to give up. We would just do more. I would pray more. We would enlist more people. This was not going to be the answer. And in that moment, I fervently prayed. I pleaded with my Heavenly Father. I suddenly had a realization that even though I was willing to do anything in the whole world for my little girl, it wasn't my fight. But this was up to Celeste. This was her fight. That if she wanted to fight this, we would do it. And we would support her. But if she felt like she couldn't do this anymore, because this was hard, this was really hard. If she couldn't do it anymore, then that was okay too. We would just simply make every moment that she had left wonderful. Whether it was 3 months or 3 years, we would just do everything for her. And it was in that moment of surrendering that I finally had a sense of peace. It was no longer about me. I could trust my Heavenly Father, who wanted what's best for my daughter even more than me. And what I really wanted the most was what was best for her. And I was finally willing to expand my vision and see the world through a divine perspective. As my vision of how things could be changed, I began to feel more hopeful. All wasn't lost. I was now determined that we would make something beautiful out of this situation. And shouldn't it be that shouldn't making every day be wonderful, be the purpose of all of our lives? Because none of us know how long we have. We don't know how long we have on this journey. I'd like you to think about in your own situation. Think of a situation in your own life that could benefit from a bigger perspective. Something that seems hopeless. What could you do to surrender and see it from a divine perspective? Can you envision the situation from a different point of view? What peace will you gain from this new perspective? And will it bring you closer to the divine? After I began to feel that deep sense of peace, I was overwhelmed with an even deeper sense of gratitude. And that's the third pillar that I wanted to share with you, is grow your gratitude. This week, these last few days, as part of the World Parliament on Spirituality, we've heard a lot about gratitude. It's so important. This week in the United States, they're celebrating Thanksgiving. What can you be grateful for in your life? I would challenge you to share. Share with your friends and family. Share it on Facebook. Share it on social media. Share with the world the things that you are grateful for. I was challenged this week to participate in a 7-day gratitude and to use the hashtag give thanks. And I have found that there's something to be grateful for each day. Some days it's little things like hearing the birds chirp on my back porch, or still being able to harvest carrots from my garden even though it's late November. I have bigger things to be grateful for as well. My family, my husband, my children, my daughter who I feel close to me regularly, and knowing that she has a beautiful path ahead of her, and I will join her later. I am thankful for so much in my life. And I know that it is one of the ways that brings us peace. It helps us to bridge that chasm of hopelessness. Today's world is hard. It's really hard. There are things changing all the time. We lose things. We lose people. We lose dreams that we thought were going to happen. But when we can ground ourselves back into that sense of, what do I have now? I have created 7 pillars, but I don't have time for 7 pillars to share with you today. But if you would like a PDF with them all listed, I would be pleased and send them to you. If you send me an email, send it to info@lauralane.ca. That's info@lauralane.ca. And thank you for this time today.